Hey everyone, and welcome back. So today I want to talk about Gianni Infantino, the head of football's world governing body, FIFA. At one point, he was the golden child, the one that was here to save FIFA and to save football after so much corruption that we saw with people like Sepp Blatter. But things seem to have changed. So, is his time up, or has he still got a few tricks up his sleeves? It took just a single week for Gianni Infantino to lose the backing of European football, North American football, his own senior advisor, and then have the man he replaced as FIFA president publicly pile on to call for him to resign. Infantino took over FIFA in 2016, positioned as the reform candidate after Sepp Blatter's downfall amid a corruption scandal involving $150 million in bribes. For years, he governed largely without this level of open revolt from within football itself. That, however, changed dramatically at the end of July 2026, when media reports revealed a secret plan Infantino had personally developed to spin off FIFA's commercial operations, including the World Cup itself, into a new $20 billion subsidiary, selling roughly 20% of it to outside investors. The anchor investor behind the deal was reported to be a New York investment firm founded by Joshua Kushner. FIFA framed the plan as a way to raise up to $4.2 billion for football development worldwide. The backlash was immediate and almost universal. UEFA, representing all 55 European football associations, including newly crowned World Cup champions Spain, voted within days to boycott FIFA competitions entirely unless the plan was withdrawn. In an official statement, UEFA called it irresponsible and indefensible that a proposal of such significance had been conceived in secret, accusing FIFA of putting the sport's soul up for sale. CONCACAF, the governing body for North and Central American football, rejected Infantino's attempt to soften the blow with one-off $20 million payments to each member federation, and Asia's Football Confederation joined the opposition too, leaving Infantino facing revolt from almost every corner of the sport at once. The damage wasn't only external. Carlos Cordero, Infantino's own senior advisor and former Goldman Sachs banker who had represented FIFA on a White House task force, resigned in protest, stating plainly he'd had no involvement in the plan and calling it a bad deal for football. FIFA's own chief operating officer, Kevin Lamore, stated that staff inside the organization had been deceived, describing the entire scheme as, in his words, a project of one person. Facing a full continental boycott and an open revolt from his own inner circle, Infantino scrapped the plan on the 31st of July, saying the project had created divisions that were no longer in the interest of what he'd originally set out to achieve. But the reversal didn't end the crisis. UEFA and CONCACAF both continued their opposition even after the U-turn, demanding guarantees that nothing like it would be attempted again. FIFPro, the global players' union, kept up its own calls for what it explicitly termed Infantino's ouster. British Prime Minister Andy Burnham publicly said Infantino was the wrong man to lead the organisation, and La Liga president Javier Tebas accused him of destroying the football industry by prioritising FIFA's own tournaments over domestic leagues, declaring flatly that his time is up. Even Sepp Blatter added his own voice to that pile-on, posting online that the 2026 World Cup had lost its credibility under Infantino's leadership and calling for fans, players and national associations to reclaim football under new leadership entirely. Though plenty of football writers were quick to point out the irony of Blatter himself lecturing anyone on integrity, given he was forced out of FIFA in 2015 amid his own sweeping corruption scandal. What ties the entire crisis together is a pattern of overreach. Infantino had already drawn criticism earlier in 2026 over a separate dispute about whether FIFA's own 3-term presidential limit actually applied to him, given a rule that his first partial term didn't count toward the cap. Layering a secretly developed $20 billion privatization plan on top of that existing tension was enough to turn simmering unease into outright confrontation, uniting UEFA, CONCACAF, FIFPro, his own senior advisors, and voices ranging from the UK's own Prime Minister to his own disgraced predecessor, all publicly against him within the space of a single week. So the downfall isn't really about one failed business plan. It's about a FIFA president who, after years of accumulating unchecked authority, finally overplayed his hand badly enough that the entire footballing world ended up standing against him at the same exact moment.